Top of the morning to ya. That's right. Sports Boy, a.k.a. Jesse Gibson, is back from Ireland. Welcome to the Hobby Nonsense Podcast, everyone. And I can tell you, as a full-blooded Irishman, at least that's what I'm telling people I am. I think I can convince them with the rosy cheeks and the reddish beard. I just feel like at this point in my life, I want to be recognized as an Irishman from now on. It's changed me. The Emerald Isle has changed me. Being at the Dublin Card Show, being in the country for the first time, it honestly, guys, if you've never been to Ireland, this is not a plug. I'm not working for the Ireland Tourist Board or anything like that. This is just simply a simple man's take on what is maybe a simpler way of life. Things are a little slower in Ireland, in a good way, more relaxed. People aren't as stressed out. Oh, you people would love it. You guys would love it. Now, that being said, if you don't love it, I can't help you there. But I had an absolutely wonderful time in Ireland. I got a hat. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can probably see me. I'm going to put it on right now. If you're listening to it, you can listen to me put it on. Here's the thing. I'm going to do a little rundown of what the show's going to be about. There's going to be a few Irish things, and then we're going to get into, I guess, maybe more of a back to normal vibe. So we're going to start this off with a Dublin Card Show review. If you listen to the Sports Cards Nonsense podcast, I'm going to be talking about it on there, but this is going to be maybe with a little bit more of a slant to non-sports. I'm also going to be doing something that you won't find on the Sports Cards Nonsense podcast. I got an interview with a gentleman by the name of Fionn O'Murchu. I believe I'm pronouncing this correctly. He has a pretty thick Irish accent, and this was just an impromptu thing. My wife and daughter and I were in this little town. It's a village called Inishannon. It's in West Cork in Ireland. I went in there because I saw like collectible toys was like written on the window, and I was like, what is this? And it's just like this little shop in the middle of this village, and it's a post office. I'll get into more of it, but there's a whole interesting story behind it that I think you guys will appreciate. Then we're going to do a segment where we take a listen to what some of our younger audience is thinking about what's been going on in the Pokemon world. This comes from the Non-Sports Cards Nonsense Facebook group. A father posted his son's reaction to not finding any Pokemon cards at the store the other day, and I gotta say, it's pretty adorable, for one. I can also say there's some pretty terrible people out there for the comments that they'll leave on a child's video just wanting their Pokemon cards, but I'll let you guys be the judge of how you feel about it. Then we've got a couple other pieces of news in the non-sport card world, and then we're going to get into an interview where we're going to talk a little bit more about the custom card side of the non-sport hobby with Nguyen, a.k.a. The Great Curator. You may know him from social media, but he also is running a company called Saturday Morning Cards, where they are essentially making their own custom cards. They're trying to get into, I guess, the card space, being another card maker, and they seem to be focusing mainly on the non-sport side of things. So we're going to talk to him about that and what it's like to be in the world of custom cards, and a little bit about PiggyBanx and all that kind of thing too. So should be a good show. Dublin Card Show review. So if I can accurately express this, if you've been to maybe, I'm trying to think of a comparable show. I went to the Madison Card Show up in Wisconsin a few years ago, and this was like a big open room with, I want to say like 200-300 tables or something like that. It felt something like that. There was about 3,000 people in this room in Dublin, but it felt completely jam-packed. And it's a big room. There were just so many people in it because it was crowded the entire time. You know, we go to card shows and it's like, oh, we had this many people, and it's like you're there. It's like, I didn't feel like that because like they would kind of ebb and flow. But I feel like the people that came to the show, they came and they stayed almost the entire time, and they continued to like have, I think they even let some extra people in because there was so much demand. They ended up letting some people in towards the back end of the day. just to kind of, help facilitate the desire of all of the people that are trying to get into the hobby in Ireland. The fact is the energy in that room, it's a young audience. The energy in that room was very, very contagious. It felt like I don't know, being excited about cards was fun, and it didn't seem like anyone was there to try and like take advantage of you or anything like that. And not to say that it's like that in every card show either. But there was a very young audience. So the median age, I'd say, is probably like mid-30s as far as like someone set up at a table. I don't think I saw anyone really over the age of like maybe mid-50s at one of these tables. Whereas like you go to like the National or another card show, and it's a lot of older guys, older gentlemen set up at these shows. The lines to get to the tables were like, there was just so many people crammed in there trying to get to tables. There were times where it's like, well, I can't even go down that row because there's just so many people trying to wheel and deal in one way or another. Pokemon was huge. Pokemon was just, it was out of this world. But that doesn't mean there wasn't like a big demand for soccer cards, obviously. But there's also I actually was kind of surprised by the number of like basketball, football, and even some baseball. I feel like baseball was probably like the least of like our main sports here in the US that I saw. But basketball, football definitely seemed to be represented. And the Pokemon was by far and away probably the most that I saw as far as all cards go. Other than that, though, there was not a lot in the realm of non-sports. You'll see like some Pop Century stuff here. You'll see other non-sport cards throughout the years, American Pie, some other sets that Panini and Skybox or Rittenhouse or something like that, Topps have done in the earlier years. But there really wasn't much of that at all that I could see, other than some more modern, like the 2024 Disney that Topps UK put out, and the 2024 Marvel that Topps put out, and some Star Wars. That was about it. And that's fine. That's good. I'm glad to see some of that. There really even wasn't a whole lot of that from my perspective. What it was mainly was guys either had Pokemon that they were trying to buy and sell, or it was guys just set up like like you would normally see at a normal card show. It wasn't like some kind of like out of this world, crazy card show experience like you'll never see before. It's like most card shows, but it was more of the energy and excitement. Younger kids very happy to be there. That's what it seemed like to me, at least. I want to go back next year. Honestly, as you heard at the intro, I am a huge fan of Ireland after being there for 9 days with my family. We saw from the northern coast to the southern coast. The people are just out. I just can't say enough about how much warmth and hospitality they provided. It was just very patient, very kind. No one yelled, or no one like got irritated when I'm driving and I accidentally turn into the wrong lane. Turns are hard. Okay. When you're making a turn on the opposite lane, you sometimes forget which lane you're supposed to be turning into. Other than that, I feel like I did fine driving. But there was one or two occasions where I turned into the lane and I'm facing a car that's coming right at me. But I don't think I was honked at one time. Everyone gave little waves. It's just a very kind culture, and that was expressed in the card show as well. Overall, the show went from about 1,500 people, I believe, last year, which was the first time the Soccer Card United guys put this on. Jason and Enzo, which are incredible hosts. Could not say enough about them. We even went out to a little after dinner or an after show dinner thing with them. We grabbed lunch a couple days after that with them. They're just fantastic, down-to-earth guys. And I had no idea, like, they're such... I'm just going to go ahead and call it. They're bigwigs. They're head honchos. They're whatever you want to call it. But they're humble. That is the main point. You wouldn't know it because they're putting on these big old shows. They're the guy. They have so much wax. They've got the biggest table there. But you talk to them and they're just down to earth, never talking about, I don't know, maybe they may be super rich or they could be dirt poor. I would have no idea because they're very down to earth, humble people. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And they were very kind throughout the show. They were busy the whole time because they were checking in on their vendors. They were making sure everybody who was coming to the show was satisfied and they had what they needed. They had an amazing team set up working for them. Honestly, the show is what it was the draw to go to Ireland. The people are going to help me to come back to it. But I just can't say enough about if you have the opportunity to go, I think you should. All that being said, too, Topps was there. They were presented. This was like a sponsored event from Topps. I think they did a fantastic job. They had a nice little booth set up in the middle when you first walk in, and they were giving away packs. They were taking opportunities to meet and greet with sellers and things like that. I really appreciated too. I can't talk about anything, but they did have some meetings with some of the breakers and things like that, and some of the sales tables. I guess card show. They're not card shops because they don't have card shops in Ireland, but I guess it's just more breakers. Yeah, breakers. They were having talks with them to try and get ideas for what they would like to see more of, see less of. Basically, it was just like trying to figure out, hey, what can we be doing better? That's what their meetings were about. And that was like a really refreshing experience to see a company that's so involved that they want you to tell them what they're doing wrong so that they can try and fix it. I'm not trying to like ultimately promote, because this podcast, there's no sponsorship as of yet, but there's no sponsorship. I don't have anybody telling me to say anything whatsoever. I'm just speaking from my personal experience that I love that they were trying to honestly find where they can fix the gaps or the problems that they may have see in the hobby, or, do more of what they're already doing well. So good experience, great experience. Honestly, I don't see how this doesn't double again in size next year, because it went from 1,500 to 3,000. I could honestly see it going 6,000 or more. But if that's the case, they really do have to find either a bigger venue or go to other levels, because I think the one level that they were at was about max capacity. So, but I think he said there's like 4 levels in the building that they're in, the Dublin Conference Center. So anyways, that was the Dublin Card Show. Excellent experience. I have a few more details I'll share with the Sports Cards Nonsense crowd as well. Just some sporting things that I noticed that I thought was pretty cool. And but that being said, I do also want to share an experience that I had over in Dublin. So this was in Ireland. This was outside of Dublin. So this was a few days after the Dublin Card Show. We were staying in this little village called Inishannon, and we were walking down the street after grabbing some breakfast one morning. We saw, like I mentioned earlier, this little, it's a post office. But post offices are different there than they are here. It was a grocery store / post office. They're not run by the government there. So this was like a privately owned one. And the guy who was running it, I guess it's a father and son who own it. His name was Fionn O'Murchu. And again, he had to say it multiple times very slowly for my English brain to understand exactly what it was. But I guess O'Murchu is like Murphy, but it's in Irish. So Fionn was a gentleman, very nice guy. He was kind of running the register when I was in there. And when we walked in, it was amazing to see all of the collectibles in this store. It wasn't just a post office. It wasn't just like a grocery store, but about 2/3 of it were filled from floor to ceiling with collectible cars, Legos, little model sets. It was actually kind of shocking to see this in the middle of a town that is, not to be rude, but it's a tiny little place that you would kind of blink and miss. So I had a moment of clarity. I was like, oh God, before I leave, I need to talk to this guy and figure out, what is this, what's going on here? And what is it about this that he appreciates? I got an interview. I cannot tell you that you're going to understand every single word. The audio was pretty good for being recorded on a phone, spur of the moment. It's not the best, and his accent's pretty thick, but I think you'll be able to understand a good deal of it and at least appreciate someone who is in the collecting hobby from Europe, from Ireland. So let's go ahead and play that interview with Fionn right now. So the reason why I wanted to talk to you, I came into your shop and I saw it as like a post shop, and I guess the post shops are also little marts. Is that typical in Ireland?
Well, before, yeah, like back in the 1930s and 1940s, like post offices started being subbed out there to a lot of people, more so than ever. And then you had like community, like people to survive on an on-post wage beforehand was very tough. Like, it was very tight. Like, and still, let's put it this way, things have come up a little bit more. It's a lot more livable, but traditionally they would have had a shop on site or a butchers or some sort of service on site, so that they had two forms of income to, and like the post office was kind of, how do we say, a bit of an attraction, like a focal point for the community to meet at.
Interesting. Okay, I had no idea. That's so interesting. Because back at home, it's a post office run by the government, and it's typically kind of sad and slow. No one's having any fun there. It's all you get is stamps and drop your letters off. So it's different here. It's much. I like it much better. But your shop is even more unique in the sense that you have all of this whole, I would say 2/3 of your store, because you had a whole floor upstairs and then this whole floor downstairs of just collectible, mainly vehicles. What is this something common in this area?
No, definitely not. Like the grocery and post office is very common. As regards the toys, that's something that's a little bit more unique to us. Like, let's put it this way, my father started the business there because he was a hobbyist. And like the deal, like it all came down to the fact when he was younger, basically his uncle used to take him out to get his haircut, and the deal was is that he got a Matchbox model after the haircut. So ever since then, that kind of grew into the hobby, if you get what I mean. So like aunts and uncles from England would come over and bring over like train sets. They'd bring over like corgi, jaw. What was popular at the time was corgi toys. So basically corgi models used to do cars and stuff like that, and Joe little play sets and stuff like that. And that used to be what he used to get for Christmas, because all the aunts and uncles knew that my dad Mike was big into toys. And then then he got married and he realised, well, he was a DJ at the time, and then he realised, well, he can't be a DJ now anymore. So he decided then, right, toys was his hobby. So we started out with train sets, and we started out with Britons, and then it kind of grew into something a little bit more bigger.
Yeah, I would say so. Is this all of it, or does he have, I know a lot of hobbyists back home where they'll have a shop and the shop will be filled with stuff, but then you'll go to their home and it'll be filled with things too.
We have small collections, but it's something more that's closer to our hearts, if you get what I mean. Like, do you mind if I...
No, thank you. You're doing me a favor. Yeah, I appreciate this.
No, anytime.
So what would you say, do you have like anything like really valuable, like collectible?
I think, well, from my dad's perspective, it was the Holmes Wrecker recovery truck.
The Holmes Wrecker recovery truck?
Yeah, it's basically like a set that he got when he was younger. But the problem was that he had 4 brothers after him, so toys generally got passed down as hand-me-downs, if you get what I mean.
Sure.
And that was his favourite one. My one would be in the cabinet over there. It's basically Scaniar Series top line. Like, when I started off in this business, my dad he never really wanted me there to go into business with him, because he always said, look, being in business is tough. He wanted something different.
Sure.
And I remember so I went into the business, totally didn't ignore him as a typical son would do. And basically he always wanted to get one model done, but he could never get it over the gain line. Like, when we do those, we have to ask the company for permission. And basically he couldn't get the permission, so here's young 18-year-old me coming into the business. And I said, sure, why don't I ask him? And he says, yeah, sure, go on. I dare you, go on ahead. Like, he thought he knew the answer. And I remember bringing home that project, and my dad was kind of half shocked. And he kind of, as if to say there, like, he says, how come he's able to do that and I couldn't? Like, and so it's so like it was kind of something. It's a proud moment more than anything else, more than a favourite model, if you get what I mean. Like,
100%. I understand that. Wow, to have, well, and that's the thing. We in the States, we find that, you know, a lot of us are in the hobby for ourselves, and we like to build or collect things, but inevitably we like to pass it on to our family and loved ones to enjoy with us. You know, so
exactly.
I'm glad to know that's kind of a similar story here in Ireland. The collectibles has expanded to not just like the trucks and cars. I saw Lego sets in the back. Are you guys big Lego collectors?
My dad's more into the Lego, to be honest, which is I am. Yeah, totally. Like, but Lego's become a huge thing. And I think when I was growing up, I remember Lego was kind of meant for kids.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, or older kids that hide in the dark corner of a house, like, or come down after work to get a model kit or something like that.
In the States, some of them refer to the kids that still live at home in their parents' basements.
Yeah, that's me. Definitely 100% down to the ground. No, look, look, to be honest, it's evolved. Like, this whole game. Like, I remember when we started out doing this business. Like, I remember getting a Lego set. You were a kid.
Yeah.
Now it's like people like me and your age, even older, like even my dad, like going and buying a Lego set, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like before it was kind of frowned upon.
Sure.
Whereas now it's kind of just deemed as being acceptable, like, to society in their eyes, like, you know what I mean?
They're investments in a lot of cases.
Oh, true, yeah. Like, but I try not to. You have to do what you basically. What I love about this is that you do what you like. It's like any other hobby that you have out there. And for me, like, it's like even when I was just in, like, when I was in New York, I remember there was an Irish guy, like, in Ireland, like, what you call it, what you discover there is that you can't get rid of us, right? Yeah. No matter where we go. And I remember being out in New York, and there was two guys from Dublin that were across the way in the train there, and we heard each other's accents. We started chatting, like, and one fella turned around then, like, and I remember one of his friends was taking the mick out of the other fella because he bought himself a Lego set. Yeah. And I remember then, like, I was talking to your man, and for the whole 30-minute subway journey, all we were talking about was Lego.
Wow.
And my friend there beside me was kind of like looking at me, kind of going, I never knew that about you. So I think it's evolved.
Yeah.
The whole game's completely changed, like, and long may it last. Like,
I love that you guys appreciate you're doing it for the love of it, not for the money of it, because that's been like an argument.
Oh, don't worry, we do it for the money. Don't you worry. Like, trust me, it's money driven, like every other business, but you have to have a bit of love for it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not commercial. It is commercial, but it's not commercial first. It's kind of one goes hand in hand. Like.
I think the common thread is that most people agree that you can do it as a business, but unless there's a love for it, then that business inevitably may not be successful, because at the end of the day, there needs to be a passion for what you're involved in.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10 that's true, to be honest with you. And you can see it there. Like, there's guys out there that can make a business work just because they know how the game works.
Yeah.
But you're definitely right. You have to have a passion for it. Otherwise, you're waking up every morning thinking, "What am I doing?" So there has to be a bit of love for it. Totally, 100%.
Well, one last thing I just wanted to know. So I see you guys sell some cards here, some stickers as well.
Yeah.
That's really a big thing in the States. It's become a very large thing even here in Ireland, because I just came from the Dublin Card Show, which I feel like at this point, I don't know how much extra promotion you guys need, because the fact that you have this many cards at a shop, and I'm not saying this is a tiny town, but it's definitely a smaller town than Dublin is. Yeah, exactly. But you guys are doing just fine having cards here. Do you find that there's a lot of people who are interested in this?
I think it's much more say primary school students that would actually definitely would be collecting, that we find that that's our main focus.
Yeah.
Now, you do have a guy or somebody our age that would kind of sneak one in amongst the magazine and wink at you.
Oh yeah. That's what I did. Yeah.
But you see what I mean. But I think it's good that it's actually, like, I think give it time, everything's going to be progressing itself forward. Like as one fella there turned around to me and said, "This is the best investment that you probably ever have. Like, in this game, it's going to be buying yourself a packet of Pokémon cards."
I was going to ask you. I see this surging Sparks box.
Yeah.
Do you have any more of these?
That's actually a good question. I know, but we can get more.
Yeah, you need some. If you can get more Pokemon, I suggest you do it. It's honestly one of the hottest of all the card types, sports, non-sports, TCG. Pokemon is probably the most popular right now.
But that's come so far, though, in fairness. And credit to them. Like, in fairness, I remember, like, when Pokemon first came out, like, I remember my sister was mad crazy about it.
Yeah.
And she had a lot of the first editions as well. Like, at the time we thought, sure, this is just a good cartoon, like, or good anime or something, like, but whatever the correction is.
Sure.
And it's come so far, and I'm actually, like, in fairness to them, they've continued on, they've made it into a franchise.
They're one of the largest franchises in the world, in fact, now. Like, when you compare Hello Kitty and Marvel and Disney, and, like, Pokemon, I believe, is actually number 1 in the world.
I believe
as far as intellectual property goes.
I remember growing up, it was Hasbro, it was Barbie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Barbie again. That was it when we were growing up.
And that's still very big, but not nearly.
Not nearly as close as Pokemon. It's just, but, like, things will change automatically, like, and we'll kind of see that over time, and it's exciting to see, like, do you know what I mean? If you stand as a bystander and kind of go, I wonder where, like, if you had a crystal ball in front of you and you saw what was happening 10 years time, you wouldn't believe it.
What would you guess? What would you think would be the next?
The next one. That's going to be, I think it's going to come down to 3 things. It's going to come down to basically guys buying smaller models, because I see from the production side of things, the bigger models are becoming a lot more hard are. They're becoming a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Oh, yeah.
I think number 2, because of home spaces and everything, we're going to be buying that then as well.
Yes.
So, but I still think that there will always be a model game once it's being minded, crafted, and it's being respected.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, I would like to see more models in the U.S. I know a lot. When I was growing up, I feel like I saw them all the time, but not as often anymore these days. So.
I think
maybe I'm just not in the right circles.
Oh, but look, you never know. Like, you someday, like, you'll just you'll turn around and you bump into a guy and you both smile at something and go, and then you kind of like make that uninformed eye contact, and it's like, but you're not afraid to say it.
Yeah. So smaller models. Anything else you think?
I don't know. Like it's just watching the doors open. Like it could come down to the most wildest idea.
Yeah, it's true.
And then, like, who would have thought Pokémon would have been a franchise? Like,
perfect example.
That's like, you know what I mean. Like, so I think we just keep our minds open. I think that's the huge thing.
I like that a lot.
Keep your mind open.
I hope you were able to take in most of that. For me, it was one of those things where it's like I had to talk to him for a few minutes before I was like, oh, my ears like kind of clicking as far as exactly some of the words he was saying. Because again, the Irish accent is very unique and it's different, like village to village, even in some cases. So that was a really cool experience to talk to someone who is in the model collecting, but he also, like I said in the interview, he has cards that he was collecting as well, or not collecting, but he was selling there at the store. And to see cards being sold at a shop in the middle of, like, to be frank, in the middle of nowhere, it was just, I don't know. It made me think like, wow, the card market's doing pretty well. And that's kind of where I wanted to leave, like, my final notes on the Ireland trip. I think you will see the world market continue to expand as far as the card market goes. Now, we talked with him mainly about just collectibles in general and models and things like that. But the card market, from my experience at the Dublin Card Show, kind of what I talked to him about a little bit too with Pokémon and other things, the card market seems like it's going to have some of the best opportunity for growth, though, in Europe and overseas in the next few years, because there is demand in some cases, from what I heard, similar to what we experienced in like 2021. Like it's growing as well. It's not at times, I feel like it's probably not at that same peak, but like the opportunity is there because they're finding themselves being out of product when they're getting like a pretty good amount of things like soccer and F1, things that don't sell as well here. So they're getting pretty good amounts of this, but they're still running out of it. And they're also experiencing how they're getting more and more people. I've talked to a few guys who are like, yeah, this is something that they are willing to put a lot of money into as far as like business to expand their breaking footprint, their card shop footprint in Europe, because they see so much potential growth. So I would say if you're in an opportunity to expand internationally, Europe, the European market, Germany apparently has a huge card show scene, and they're expanding very rapidly in that country as well. I just, that's my place that I would want to go. That's, in fact, I don't know. I'm trying to look into what opportunities there are to expand the sports cards nonsense or the hobby nonsense or the breaking path, the footprint into that side of the world. Honestly, it is that big of an opportunity, I think, in my mind. Okay, that's Ireland. That was the experience. Thank you guys for letting me ramble on for that for quite a bit. And I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Fionn as well. Couple things, because we got another interview and we're still going to listen to another segment. So this may be a little bit longer episode. A couple things, though. The 2008 Topps Heritage Indiana Jones card. This was a Steven Spielberg signed card that just went, just sold at auction. I guess maybe it was like March 5th, I believe, March 6th. It went for $15,000. $15,000 for a Steven Spielberg signed card. I'm curious if this card gets paid for, just because I think the last one it says was for sale went for like $1,200. There's this auction, and then unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard about the Cheeto Zard the hot Cheeto that ended up selling at Golden for about $88,000. I need to know if these things are getting paid for. It's out of this world to me. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic, especially for the Indiana Jones card for the non-sport world. I know there's a big market for if you're into director autographs. I know that there's a pretty decent market for some of those, especially because they don't come up quite as often in a lot of cases. This one being Steven Spielberg, one of the most notable American directors, at least, I think that it definitely warrants a premium. Now, going from $1,200 for the last sale to $15,000, that's interesting to me. I again, am just curious if these are getting paid for. So Heritage, Golden, reach out. Let me know if you don't mind. I'd love to, confirm with the audience, hey guys, these are not only, big numbers, but they're actually real numbers that people are paying money for. So that was a couple auction items I thought was interesting. I also thought it was interesting that I saw while I was gone. Can we go ahead and forget about the LeBron Durant Curry card? It's gone. No one has it. It's disappeared. I don't know what it is. It's gone, but that's not the triple auto card, the Topps Now triple auto card we care about anymore. We now care about the Rock, Cena, Travis Scott triple auto card. That thing is pretty awesome. Okay, let's just all admit we would like to have a triple auto of The Rock, John Cena, and Travis Scott. I think that, to be fair, the LeBron Curry Durant one, I think the last one sold on eBay like for an unopened pack for like $3,800. It'll be a travesty if these don't go for $5,000. I know they won't. I know that's not a world that we live in, but I would think that hopefully there's some kind of like, I want to see like this go into like the $50,000 range or something like that. It's just such a unique and cool card for I guess if we're calling wrestling a non-sport, it's just such a cool card for that side of the hobby that I just wanted to bring attention to it for just a moment. So, all right, before we get to our interview for our custom card talk, we talk PiggyBanx, we talk Saturday morning cards with Dan Nguyen, again, the Great Curator on Instagram. Before we get to that, though, I did just want to play a little audio from a video that was posted in the Non-Sports Cards Nonsense group, I guess a couple days ago now. This is from Lukka. His name is Lukka. He's a young man. I don't know how old he is. I would guess maybe like 9, give or take. He could be 7. He could be 11. I'm not good with that. And I have a 10-year-old. So, what does that say about me? But I thought it was pretty precious. It's as someone who has a 10-year-old, kids can be, sometimes they put on a show and stuff, but by the end of this video, he's like getting a little emotional about it. And he speaks very well for someone who's talking about such an adult topic that a lot of us talk about. I thought it was kind of, I hate to use the word cute, but I thought it was kind of cute. I wanted to share it, and I got permission from his dad to be able to play the audio for it. So here's Lukka talking about his experience about trying to get Pokemon cards.
Hello, older Pokemon card collectors. I want to have a conversation with you through this video. Okay, so you know how you start your days, like getting dressed and then like eating breakfast, and then I got a haircut today, and then we went to the Dollar Tree, we went to Target. I was literally excited to buy some Pokemon cards, but then my excitement was as flat as the bill on your hat. Okay, people? There was literally even a clear box over there. I even, had to look. I literally even, shook the box, too, to, hear anything. I even looked under the box. Nothing there. Clearly nothing there. Nothing. I know there's been a new Pokemon card released, the EX one, that Pikachu one that you're all excited to get, but you can't just you can't just buy every Pokemon card pack. Literally, save some for the kids. Save some for us, people. Save some for us. You don't need to, start rummaging through card packs. You can't just be like, throwing away cards like that you don't like. They're not like golden tickets from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like, you won't go to the Pokemon card factory in Japan. It's not like a ticket to Japan. It's not a ticket to Japan. It's not like there's only 5. There's like 1,000,000 of those out there. Like, I know people have already gotten them. That's probably why they're lucky. That's probably why they bought out all of those card packs. And I literally am standing up, and that's why I'm making this video, to stand up for our rights to do that. You should be more worried about washing your clothes and putting on deodorant. Leave the cards to the kids. Just leave the cards to the kids.
There you go. There's little Lukka making his case known for leaving the cards to the kids. It's not like you're going to get a golden ticket to take you to Japan, okay? People, leave some cards for the kids. I will say, I think, and now that I'm rewatching this kid's got to be like 7. He does get emotional at the end where you can tell, he's just gotten worked up. He's probably had a long day, and he thought he was going to end that day with like a treat. He got his hair cut, and then he was going to get his Pokemon packs, and he didn't get his Pokemon packs. And when I saw that, I felt for the kid. I really did. And can we just leave it at that as something wholesome? Because I do not need more comments like the ones I'm seeing in Facebook. Facebook is just, I don't think it matters where you go in Facebook. Facebook is just a bad place. It can be a great place at times. And even in the non-sport card nonsense group where this one was posted, I think typically we have a crowd that's a little bit more down to earth as far as like no one's getting too heated, no one's getting too worked up. But some of the people calling out this kid or the kid's parents or whatever, like teach your kid about capitalism and learning that lesson early in life, and it's like, okay, yeah, maybe that is what's happening. Maybe this is teaching him that, but that's not what this video is. Okay, this video isn't going to change the world. Let him just be a kid and not insult a child, especially as an adult assaulting a child. Why is this a thing? Why do I have to say that? I'm not going to say any more about it. It's too irritating. For everyone else who appreciated it, thought it was fun or cute, that's the audience I wanted to play that for. So anyways, Lukka, I'm pulling for you, buddy. I'm going to try and find some Pokemon cards. I'm looking myself. So to be fair, if I find some, I'll share them. How about that? I'll try and share them, but it's hard to come by. All right, there you go. Let's get into our interview with Dan Nguyen. Find a little bit about what's going on in the non-sport card world, more specifically the custom sport card world. Dan Nguyen, guest and content creator and company owner of Saturday Morning Cards. Dan Nguyen is the Great Curator, has joined the show. Dan, thank you so much for joining. We were talking off air a moment ago. You made an interesting statement. Could you repeat that for the audience?
Oh, sure. We were just joking around, but I think I'm going to make a bold prediction here. Now that I kind of understand the premise of this podcast, like it's kind of a spin-off of your original one, I think with the focus on non-sport categories, Pokemon, Star Wars, toys, comic books, and everything else that you want to talk about, I predict that this will be bigger than your sports card podcast. Because just from experience, I've seen that this world is way huger than people understand right now. And it's got a lot of potential to really, really grow. I really appreciate you saying that. Granted, as someone who's still basically a half owner of Sports Cards Nonsense, I would like them to grow equally gigantic. But yeah, that would be awesome to see this one continue to grow, which it has. I'm actually surprised to see just the amount of love and attention that this one's been getting. So all that being said, I kind of like rushed our intro to get in here because I wanted to make sure that point was on record. All right. So Dan Nguyen, I have questions for you. First off, am I pronouncing your last name correctly? Correct. Yes.
Nailed it. I am so well prepared. It doesn't.
You're on top of your game today.
All right. So Dan, the reason why I reached out to you is because as a content creator in the non-sport card world, you are, I don't want to say like you're a rarity, but there's less in the non-sport card than the sport card world, right? We see so many different accounts, buying, sell, trade, just creating some different version of, Wimby did this, or DK Metcalf got signed for this or traded here. There's all of these deals and attention that goes to that side of the world. But for non-sport, I feel like I am starting to see what you just mentioned a moment ago is like that growth, that increase in not only attention to the space, but also financial investment that goes into the space. I'm curious, you started your page as the Great Curator. Is there something that is distinctive about what you do, the kind of content that you create that's different than maybe just, the Great Collector?
Sure. I've kind of thought about this from time to time. I feel like the reason I was able to kind of grow my page is because, I am definitely not the only person that makes content about non-sport items, Star Wars, Marvel, toys, comic books. There's a lot of different communities out there that have content creators, but they only focus on whatever that subject matter is, like Marvel cards, for example, or Star Wars cards. And they're kind of small. And they only focus on really the collecting aspect of it. I think what kind of made me unique is I started off in sports cards, where the sports cards market was much bigger than all these other markets. And they focused on not only the collector aspect, but the transactional aspect or the investment aspect of it. And then I started making my content within those communities, within the sports cards communities. I started setting up as a vendor selling non-sports cards at sports card shows like the Dallas Card Show and things like that. And it made me really stand out among the crowd, and then allowed me to gain a lot of exposure by just showing people different types of cards and talking about different type of things. So that's kind of like how I kind of made my niche within the market. And I think because of that, other people have kind of followed that model, and then it has grown tremendously now that people are aware that there are similar type of cards to sports cards, but with subject matters that people really love. Okay,
so one of the things I'm curious about is how long have you been doing this? How long have you been setting up at card shows?
Pretty much full time, on top of my full-time job, but pretty much full time since like late 2020.
So you've been doing this since, pandemic era, right when that first got started. How much would you say the non-sport side of the hobby has grown over that time period?
Oh man, if I had to put like a number on it, I'd probably say like, I don't know, 5-10x during that time. When I first started bringing out Marvel PMGs back in like 2000, like late 2021s, it was just like, it was a novelty at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then that whole market blew up. And then after that, Star Wars followed that. And then after that, wrestling followed that. And then after that, Disney cards followed that. So it's like, it's just keeps growing and growing every year.
Now, were you what were you doing before you got into like setting up at card shows? Did you have like a full-time job outside of the card world, or do you still?
Yeah, I have a full-time job. I have my own legal practice. I went to law school, and I do that, and I still do that full-time. And I invest in other, traditional assets, real estate and stocks like that. So I was doing all that stuff before, like grown-up stuff is what I like to tell people before the pandemic happened. And then suddenly like collectibles became worth a lot of money. So
wow,
I do that kind of on the side. And I started a couple other projects like Saturday morning cards, like you talked about, and things like that. So I kind of do. I do pretty much everything.
So, and I do have a few questions about Saturday morning cards, but before we get there, I am curious too. Like, what are some of the gems in your collection? Things that you're very proud of.
Oh man, there's a lot. Like in terms of my collection, it's always evolving. I'm not like the type of person that will just hold on to something forever. I like to think of myself as like a custodian, right? So I'll find something really cool and I'll enjoy it for as long as I want to enjoy it for, and then I'll let it go to the next person to enjoy. So that's kind of how I try to keep things interesting. But right now I would say a couple of things like in terms of wrestling, I have probably one of the most valuable or coveted cards in wrestling, which is the Rhea Ripley Immaculate WWE logo auto card. That's like the wrestling version of a logo man.
Oh wow, yeah. What year did that come out?
That came out in like 2022 or 23, I think.
Oh,
it was the first time they did it right before they lost the license. They had the whole issue with losing the license to Topps. Yeah, so that's probably my best wrestling card that I have right now. I also I don't know if you ever heard about like custom art cards, but you know I have quite a PiggyBanx collection. If you ever heard of him, which I just sold one of my biggest sets of that. It was called the Crown set, which everybody was trying to get off of me, and I finally let that go. So, but before that, I let that go last week. That was like the best thing ever, you know, that I had. I got a lot of bragging rights from that.
Yeah, those cards do like crazy money, right? Like multiple thousands of dollars.
Yes, I can't even tell you the depths of this market right now, just because you're kind of like sworn to secrecy if you're in this space. They don't like to talk about it for sure, but it's definitely there, and it's very interesting. If anybody likes this kind of stuff, that you can go down a deep rabbit hole with it.
What do you mean by that? Like when you say like you're sworn to secrecy, you're talking about like what the sales, like what something goes for as far as pricing?
I said too much. I said too much, but yes, you know, it's very competitive, and it's very much a small knit community of people that are in this space right now, and it's just frowned upon. It's like other markets, right? If you have like Prism card or something like that, right? A basketball card, people love to brag and say this is a record sale and this and that, right? In this community, it's completely opposite, because they want to, you know, it doesn't really go off of comps and things like that. It goes off of just people negotiating with each other. So they don't want anybody to kind of influence the market in any certain way. And they just kind of like, it's very private. And the people that are collecting these cards are like high net worth individuals. They don't have social medias or anything like that. So everything is kept very close knit. Plus the artists themselves, they just don't want that to be the main focus of their cards, is the value of it. They want it to be, you know, the artistic nature of it. So they just really kind of frown upon people saying, oh, this is a record sale and this and that, you know, right? They kind of want to just keep it close knit.
So when you say that, though, my only question would be that everyone sees the sale price when it sells on, like, say, eBay or a third party platform. I mean, I guess like I get it in the sense of like keeping the artistic integrity of what is being made, because they are very cool. It's very interesting to see. But at the same time, it's like I can go out and see eBay sold of like multiple different PiggyBanx cards out there. So I guess at the end of the day, like, does it help that it's a secret, that it's hard, like almost like a gatekeeper type situation? Like you can't like grow that side of things without exposing some of that information, right?
What you see on eBay, those are just some of the transactions. Those are like the mainstream ones where it's like overstock, or just people that don't have access to the Discords or the groups of people that have large collections. You know, you can just buy something on eBay just like anything else, right? But there's a lot of like private sales and personal buying, selling, trading Discords that people are involved in. Okay.
So in those private sales, those are the ones you're referring to. I would like to know more about that, but I can tell you're not willing to give up much more information, but
I might get taken out. This is one of those things, like if you say too much, you're going to get taken out. And, you know, I've worked really hard to get to my position in the hobby. So I'm not trying to, you know, get myself.
Yeah, no, I get that. I guess it's just like, yeah, there's still like so many questions behind that. Like, why would we not want that to be known? But it's fine. I'm not gonna push too much harder.
I'll tell you off air.
Okay, that's fair enough.
One thing to add to that, I actually have. This is something that I can brag about. People hate me for this, but I just do it all the time whenever I feel like I need to pull it out. I actually think that I have one of the rarest PiggyBanx cards in existence. It is my personal PMG card that he actually made for me. as a gift, because I've been supporting him for years. And just one day he was really nice and said, you know what, I'm going to take your logo and I'm going to make you my own version of this card. And he made this for me. And as far as I know, he's never done it for anybody else. So I call this the rarest version of PiggyBanx card that he's ever made.
Now, is it my understanding that there is like a PiggyBanx shop, like an actual storefront or something that you can go to purchase cards in LA, or is that incorrect?
He has an art studio where he'll invite people to come visit him. He's very, very nice guy and everything like that. And if you get to know him, he's a great dude. So you can visit his art studio and you can buy stuff for him there, but it's not a retail shop or anything like that. And it's not open to the public.
Is there a play on words here when you're using, when he uses PiggyBanx versus, I think of Banksy, the artist? There must be some kind of like idea that he's trying to cultivate as far as, elusive but artistic. He doesn't care about the money. He cares more about like the message that's going out there. Is that what you think he's trying to get across when he's making some of these cards? Or is it just like, hey, I like this. This is my hobby. I'm going to make them. And if people want to pay a lot of money for them, great. If they don't, who cares?
I have to think about how I'm going to answer this, because I'm not sure if this is like well known and he wants it broadcasted out there, but I think it is. I think it's okay. Basically, everything's like a play on words. Everything is like what's the word? How can I describe this? It's supposed to be a reflection on the hobby itself, So he's kind of like poking fun at things. I don't want to say he's trolling people, but like everything that he does is very intentional, and everything about his cards, he's kind of trolling the mindset that we have in the hobby, trying to say that, hey, like I'll give this is not necessarily an exact example, but like he'll say like, well, here, I'll show this here. Like on his label, his brand is called PiggyBanx, but the name of his studio is called Good 2. Okay. It says it on each of the labels, Good 2. Good 2 is a play on the aspect of grading, where you get like a 2 grade and it says good, right? And all his cards, they're all handmade, hand cut, things like that. People early on, when people didn't really understand this, they said, okay, can I take this out and can I grade it with PSA, right? Because that's their mindset of the hobby, is everything has to be graded. So he put this here saying, well, if you grade it, it's probably going to come back a 2 because it was hand cut. Right. So he's kind of like on that and saying, like, if you want to grade it, you can definitely do that, but you don't need to. I already graded it for you. I already put it there as saying it's a 2,
I gotcha.
A lot of things that he does is kind of like poking fun at the, the commercial or transactional aspect of the hobby, and just trying to, I think this is my own interpretation of it. I think he's just trying to tell people, look, just enjoy collecting for what it is. Don't think about all these other aspects of like, can you grade something? Is it worth money? Is it going to be something that you could flip? All this other stuff. I think he's trying to focus, on that. Gotcha.
Okay. That makes sense though. I can see how that would come across, especially for the crowd that he's trying to cultivate. So going back to what you do, you've come up with Saturday morning cartoons, cards, right? Saturday morning cards, excuse me, not cartoons. Saturday morning cards is the name of the company that you yourself have started, or have you do this with someone else?
I have a partner. Yeah. His name's Mahan. He goes by Paper Gems on Instagram, but yeah, it's me and him.
Okay. So this was something, when did you start this? A couple years ago or something?
Yeah, we debuted our first product last year in May. But before that, we had probably, I'd say like at least 12 months of development to try to figure out how we were going to do this.
With that being said, the ramp up to get this going, it seems like this is maybe more of the custom card market that is, I guess I'm trying to figure out, is Saturday Morning trying to be another card making company, or are they trying to be more of like the PiggyBanx style of like, hey, we're going to do like very, very limited, custom pieces and go in that route? Like, I guess which way are we headed with Saturday Morning?
So I would say we're more of a card company. We're not custom cards and we're not card artists. We're a little bit between like a major company like Upper Deck, for example, or Kakawau, and custom art card market. And I'll tell you the backstory here if you want to hear it. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
I was one of the very early people to support the PiggyBanx community. And I saw it grow tremendously, especially in the past like year and a half, to the point where there's a lot of people that join that market. A lot of people are calling themselves custom card artists and things like that. And they're all going in there and they're making their own custom cards and stuff like that. And I thought it was very interesting because I saw that there was a demand for original artwork. So usually when you think of a card, whether it's a sports card or a movie card or a TV card, it's a still photo of whatever that subject matter is, right? Mm-hmm. Like whatever. It's just a photo.
Yeah.
They don't really do commissioned or custom artwork of any type of athlete or character or brand or anything like that. But the custom card market, they started doing that. They started doing original artwork of characters and things like that. And it was awesome, and that market really kind of developed and took off. And I looked at that and I was like, that's cool. But the only problem is a lot of it is like pop culture mashups where you get like Pokémon and Super Mario and things like that. It's not really true to the character or brands, and they're not licensed at all. It's all custom artwork, which is the way that they want it to be. So I kind of saw like an opportunity there to take that concept of doing custom artwork and combine it with the concepts of sports cards that we love, which is basically official licensed products, modern designs, low number parallels, chase, and I just combined it. I combined those two aspects and I combined it with pop culture brands that, I loved from my childhood. And that's how the premise of Saturday Morning Cards came to be, where we're not custom card guys. We're not, doing unlicensed products. We're doing officially licensed or public domain products. And then we're taking all the aspects of sports cards that we like, but we combine it with pop culture brands that people love. And what I found is that, as sports card collectors, we understand, the dynamics of what we're doing, right? We want to chase cards mainly just to make money and things like that. But when you take those elements and you combine it with a pop culture IP that you love, like Dick Tracy, Street Fighter, or Popeye, or whatever, there's another element of collecting that you unlock where it's like, oh man, I can collect these I can go after things that I know that, appeal to me in terms of like chase cards, low number parallels, chrome designs, but I can combine it with things I love from my childhood. And that's the whole premise of Saturday Morning Cards. And I can get deeper into the whole business model if you want, but that's basically it.
No. I think that's probably pretty good because I think at the end of the day, what people see are custom cards coming out in the market that, in this case, we don't get as much attention on the non-sport side of things as far as the card world goes. There's definitely, it's growing for sure. I think there's no doubt about that, especially as we see what Topps has been doing with their licensing. So to have these come into the market, I think the custom card market will continue to thrive in the sense that they're getting something that they're not being supplied by their big companies out there at this moment. Now, as that changes though, as these companies start to make more and more non-sport products, I wonder how that affects the custom world. In your case, I noticed like some of the cards that you guys have been making have been like Steamboat Willie, Dick Tracy, Winnie the Pooh, Popeye, and I noticed like these are ones that are like have fallen out of the public domain, or they're in the public domain now, so licensing is not as much of an issue. Do you find that because of that other people can make these too, and therefore there's going to be like maybe demand won't be as much because others are making something similar?
Well, for public domain properties, there's only a few in there that are worth making, like the Steamboat Willie, for example, classic Winnie the Pooh, things like that. The other cards that we do are officially licensed, like Dick Tracy. This is officially licensed. We just dropped the Smokey the Bear release. And then the Street Fighter is our big one that we have right now. These are all officially licensed. But
you got Terminator 2, I saw as well, right?
Yeah, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, that was sold out, so I don't have any of those to show you. But most of our products are officially licensed, and that's kind of the direction that we're going.
Okay.
Because we started off with doing the Steamboat Willie, which is public domain, and that kind of proved the concept of what we were trying to do. We also have like a different kind of type of product where if you're a toy collector, this is perfect for you, actually. If you're a toy collector, you've probably seen the trend with toys now where they're doing blind box designs. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Uh-huh.
Right. So basically, I'm a toy collector, too. And I took the concept of a single toy blind box and I combined it with the card aspect. So we don't make packs of cards. We don't have large checklists or anything like that, because I just feel like as a collector, you're getting a lot of fluff in the product, and that's the traditional way of doing it. So what we did is we just basically just made like one really cool card and we put it in a blind box design like this. So you pretty much know what you're going to get. You know the artwork, so you're not going to be disappointed. You can just buy one and be satisfied. But if you want that chase element, we have all the parallels and colors for you to chase. So that's another unique aspect of what we do. But to kind of comment, I thought that was interesting that you commented about like the barrier of entry right now with the custom card market, how they're providing a product, basically cards of pop culture brands that nobody else is doing. But as Topps comes in and starts doing more, or Kakao or Panini or Saturday morning cards, it's going to become less... is it going to become more competitive with those guys? And I believe that too. I think that the custom card market, it's a niche market that is meeting a certain demand right now. But as these other companies start to see value in doing cards of pop culture brands, you're going to see a lot more things come out. And if I can go back a little bit to kind of give your listeners a little bit of history. So up in till I think 2022 or 23, pop culture cards were almost unheard of. You just had Marvel cards and Star Wars cards. That's pretty much all you had. And you had some cards of TV shows and things like that. But it wasn't until a company out of China, Kakao, did their Disney versions of their cards, where they got the Disney license and they combined it with these chrome style cards that look like Prism. Are you familiar with Kakao?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember that time when they first came out with that set, people went crazy for it because it was the first time that they had made modern Disney cards with modern chrome designs. Before that, it was just like paper cards and things like that people don't care about.
Sure.
But that was like the big proof of concept. And when they did that, that thing blew up and those values skyrocketed. And then they followed it up with, other Disney brands. And then that's when you saw Topps took notice, and then they came out with the Disney chrome version of their stuff. But that was a UK exclusive only.
Yes.
And I'll give you just a little bit of a backstory or reasoning behind that people may not realize. But these licenses, they're done by territories. So at that time, like Kakao, they had the Asian territory. So that's why they're able to come out with cards out in Asia. Okay. Topps probably didn't have the US territory, the North American territory at that time. So they came out with the UK exclusive. And when that blew up, then they spent the money to get the US territory. And then that's what we're seeing right now. So you're seeing, so they're making money doing this, right? And now Upper Deck, since they lost the Marvel license, now they went to DC. And for decades, nobody had ever made any DC cards.
Yeah.
But now they're seeing value in that. So I think that you're going to see a lot more pop culture brands pop up. People are probably not going to do like a Dick Tracy card like us. It's just too small of a brand. But you're going to see more of it in the hobby, and it's going to become more normalized. And that's when I'm going to go back to what I first said when we first started this. The non-sport category of the hobby, I think personally from my travels, especially in Asia, it's way huge, bigger than we can ever imagine, bigger than sports cards. It's just going to take time for people to kind of migrate over to that, but you're going to see it's going to grow very quickly.
Now, I guess, and I know we're running up on time, but I did want to ask you one other thing. What I have seen is it seems like maybe a little fatigue in some categories of like what Topps has been putting out, because they've got licensing under Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, Pixar. That's like the new stuff, right? Or Star Wars was already there, but that was the new stuff that came in 2025. But we're seeing like a number of the same franchise, like Star Wars, coming out in rapid succession, right? Like there's been 3, about to be 4 Star Wars products out this year already. And it seems like there's fatigue in the market as far as like, I already bought into like the last 2 or 3 of these, and now there's like another one 2 or 3 weeks later. I don't know if I necessarily need another, Han Solo or another Mandalorian into my collection. Granted, there's always the chase element of like something low number or autograph, but it seems to me like maybe that's waning a little bit. But I could also be convinced if someone were to say, well, the market's also been tanking the last few months, or the last few weeks, maybe that has something to do with it. But I'm just curious from your point of view, since these are like the same characters year after year, as opposed to different players that come into the sports each year, do you think that we'll run into that issue where there's just fatigue of getting the same characters in a new set multiple times in the same year?
That's an interesting question. I think it's a combination of yes or no for me. In terms of like fatigue of the actual character, I don't think so, because the characters, this is a really interesting point. I don't know. Maybe a lot of people will be able to relate to this. So I have a child, okay? And I'll take my child to Target and there'll be like toys of Spider-Man there, G.I. Joe, Transformers. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, they're making toys of these brands that were back in the 80s when I was a kid, right? So they still reuse these characters for every generation, and every generation loves them. They never get tired of it, But in terms of speaking to what you kind of added to that in terms of multiple sets per year, yes, I think people will get fatigued having to buy, these different, 5 different sets a year, especially at the price point that they are. So I think that the brands and characters will not get old, but the way that they are releasing this, their business model is going to get old. And that's something that I think has to evolve within the hobby itself, because I understand why they do it. They pay for the license and they got to get as much money as they can out of that license, because most of the time they're paying for an exclusive license as well. So there's a premium on top of that, which is why like Upper Deck can't make Marvel cards anymore, because Topps has the exclusive license. So Topps is going to milk it for all it's worth, right? Yeah. And they're going to release as many products as they can from that. But I think one thing that we're doing with Saturday Morning Cards is we're not, because we have this model where it's just a single card or a dual card line box design, we're not like flooding. We're not like making people spend all their money. You know what I mean? There's not going to be a lot of fatigue. And what we're doing is we're building sets of cards individually at one time. So the way that our boxes work here is we have a product where it's like volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, and they're meant to kind of like you build a set together, but you do it one at a time versus buying, hobby boxes that have hundreds of cards that you're accumulating a lot of like doubles and things like that. And I think that that's a model that people are going to move to. You're already kind of seeing it with like the Topps Now stuff that they're doing. They're just doing like these single card releases where it's print to demand. So you know what it is, and they don't have to like flood the market with a bunch of junk. And I think that's probably where the model is going to go, because like you said, if they release 5, 6, 7 sets a year, people are just going to get tired of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to know that you're thinking something along the same lines as I am, because it does seem like, but you make a solid point with the fact of, you go to the toy store and there are all these toys that, were around when we were younger. And so there must be staying power as there's new generations that come in and want to appreciate the same things. But I do like the idea as far as like building it out maybe in smaller chunks to be able to maintain not only new audience members that are coming in and wanting to take hold of this hobby, but also maintain the same ones and continue to grow what they already have. So hopefully, I'm very hopeful for what Topps is doing, what they're putting out in the non-sport world. I'm hoping that they continue to listen, because they seem really to be taking in audience feedback and making appropriate changes where they can. And so I hope they hear things like this and, maybe take advantage of the fact that, yes, they're the biggest in the space, but it doesn't mean that, the hobby is going to continue to grow just because they have licensing and they can make, millions of a card. Maybe we just scale back just a little bit and put out a little less to make sure that we don't over fatigue any of the already hobby enthusiasts.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think that there's competition coming. And, they're not going to have like the monopoly anymore, but just being the only card company in town with the other 2 big companies. So they're going to have to definitely adapt it and give people what they want. Otherwise, there's going to be so many choices out there that they're going to lose a little bit of their market share.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I guess time will tell. But that being said, Dan Nguyen, thank you so much for joining. I really do appreciate, especially as I see, you seem to be a world traveler. You're going all over the world, and you're on your Instagram page showing cards from different sides of the hobby, and knowing that you have a foothold in the custom card market, which has always been, well, it hasn't always been, but it's definitely a growing part of what I see in a lot of the collectors of the non-sport side of things. So it's nice to have a perspective like yours to be able to talk on it.
Appreciate that. And thank you so much for having me. I love this. And if I could just give my last plug on this, Saturday Morning Cards, come check this out, guys. These are officially licensed, limited edition collectibles, gradable by all the grading companies, PSA, Beckett, SGC, CGC. We're doing our next release, which is up for pre-order right now, which is Street Fighter Volume 2. It's going to be Ryu versus Sagat. That comes out in a couple weeks. So you can go on our website, SaturdayMorningCards.com, and pre-order a box.
Wow. With a plug like that, you better be sharing the content when I post this up on social media.
I will.
All right, Dan. Well, hey, thank you again. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. That was Dan. Thank you to Dan, aka the Great Curator, for joining the show and coming on, especially because I had him, I asked him pretty last minute and he was available. So that was pretty cool because I've been wanting to know more about not only, Saturday Morning Cards, which they're making themselves, but then also I know that he's been big into PiggyBanx. It was cool to get some information from him out of that. So very cool for him to come on and join to share some of that information. All that being said, guys, it's good to be back. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Again, like always, this will be posted on YouTube about a week after it comes out here on the podcast forums. Anytime you guys have feedback as far as like someone you'd like to hear from, things you'd like to hear changed or different or whatever, I love good constructive feedback. And it doesn't have to be a compliment either. It can just be like, hey, I noticed this, do this different or whatever. So all that being said is thank you for listening. Thank you for taking in the content and appreciate everybody's support. I will see you guys on the next episode. Goodbye.